So hello, everyone. Welcome. Ooh, that's loud. You don't need me that loud. But hello and welcome. It's just lovely there's just so many of you here and it's wonderful. Thank you all for being here. It really means so much. And thank you to those of you who are watching online. I know there are a few people watching online and I really appreciate that as well. Right. Am I still working? Yeah, I think I am. So although this is my second book, it's my first book launch, but it nearly wasn't. It was nearly a bookless launch. And I honestly have to tell you the abridged version of this story, because I left myself plenty of time, because that's what I do. I hate being disorganized. I'd rather be half an hour early than half a minute late. I just like to know what I'm doing. So I thought I'd left myself more than enough time. Clearly, I hadn't. So we did have a slight issue, which has become known as wonky paragraph, because when I had the print-proof copy, Gwyneth thankfully noticed that there was a paragraph that was slightly off-center. So that took a bit more time to get that fixed. And then I was trying to deal with the account and everything while I was away with rubbish signal. And it was, anyway, so basically, earlier this week, I'm thinking, I still don't have books. And so I contacted the people who were printing them, and this very nice lady was updating me. Yep, we really think you'll have them by the weekend. And I'm thinking, oh, I might have books, I might not. I don't know. Thursday, she told me that the books they've finished being printed and they've been checked and they were being dispatched. And it's next day delivery, so I would get them Friday. So, hey, I did a dance. I really bounced around. Yeah, but it gets worse. Don't get too excited like I did, because it's not worth it. Because Friday came, and I hadn't had the parcel force email, but I thought, well, perhaps sometimes you just don't and things turn up. So Friday came, and then I had the dispatch email from the book printing people. I'm like, oh, perhaps it's just late being sent. Well, my books didn't arrive yesterday. Today's Saturday, books didn't arrive. What do I do? Phone parcel force, nothing they can do because I didn't have a tracking number at the time. Nothing they can do because the other people, the sender had to, pay extra to get Saturday delivery, cost extra money, which I would have happily paid, but they didn't tell me that. So, okay, we're going to have a bookless launch. So I thought, what will I do? So those people, my friends who I was desperately asking for raffle tickets, it was because I was going to say to you all, well, at the end, if you want a book, let me know, we'll give you a number, and one person will win a free one. That was the plan. I wouldn't tell Julia what I wanted them for, or Ruth, or Lynn. But anyway, so no books. So then it went through the night, and we found, last night they were in Leicester. Well, that's no help to me. This morning, they were in Gloucester. Well, that was still no help to me, because I rang Parcel Force, and they wouldn't release them to me. I said, well, can you come up? What if we come and get them? No, we can't do that. We can't do that. They have to be delivered to your house. But then Dave, Mum's partner Dave, can you give a wave? Wave, Dave. It was Dave to the rescue, because he drove up to Credgley and went to the wrong place, but then went to the right place and somehow managed to get my books. So thank you so much, Dave. I think give Dave a clap because he deserves it. Oh, anyway. So it was very stressful. So until 11 o'clock this morning, I didn't think I was going to have books. But anyway, this isn't about me or my books or anything like that, really. It's about what God has given me to write. And I really believe that this book came from him. It's what he wanted me to write. But I'll do some more thank yous at the end. But at the beginning, I just want to thank the church worship group who were going to do the music. We're going to do the music today. So Sam, Stan, Jenny, Poppy, and Sarah. And I roped in a few extras as well. Alex, Ruben, and Mo. So thank you to all of you for joining me with the music. And a big thank you also to the Colford Community Choir, who are going to be singing a bit later. And thank you to everyone who helped set up and made cakes, sorted out the sound, and coped with my stressing and all that. But thank you to all of you for being here. I'm going to ask now, if those of you who would like to stand with us, and we're going to sing 3 songs together. The words will be on the screen. And the songs are God is for us, Jesus strong and kind, and Amazing Grace, my chains are gone. Are we all there? Yeah.
I should come to him. Lord is good and faithful. He will keep us day and night. We can always run to Jesus, Jesus strong and kind. Jesus said, if I am lost, he will come to me. And he showed me on that cross, he will come to me. For the Lord is good and faithful. He will keep us day and night. We can always run to Jesus, Jesus strong and kind. For the Lord is good and faithful. He will keep us day and night. We can always run to Jesus, Jesus strong and kind. Jesus strong and kind. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas praise that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior, has ransomed me. And like the flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my heart secures. He will worship and worship me as long as life endures. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior, has ransomed me. And my God, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow, the sun forbear to shine, but God who called His here below will be forever mine. My chains are gone, I've been set free. where we used to see things.
Let's not fall over sideways. But let's not hit the microphone either. But in my sort of welcoming everyone, I wanted to say, I meant to say and I didn't, I had a wonderful surprise yesterday because my cousin Caroline sent me a message. And Caroline actually lives in Australia. She told me that she and her husband Richard are in the country at the moment, and they were coming to the book launch. So it's so wonderful to have you both here. It's really special that you're here because I know you didn't come especially for the book launch, but it just worked out perfectly, and it really means a lot that you've done that. But yeah, so well, I'm still kind of bouncing from the fact that I actually have books. It's just such a answer to prayer because so much prayer went into that. Please, Lord, let the books come, and they did. So I'm just going to read. And yeah, so this is what's on the back of the book. So, World War II brings much devastation and change. Long-kept secrets are exposed, bringing to light the urgency to act. Eddie Davis is desperate to move his daughters away from Cardiff and his father, enlisting the help of his one-time closest friend, Ruthie Lewis. A small country farm becomes a place of refuge for people from all walks of life. Despite their own tragedy, the farmer and his wife share God's love with those in their care. Is love strong enough to overcome the hurts of the past, as well as facing the future and the challenges it holds? So that's just to give you a bit of an idea, those who haven't come across the blurb from the back of the book yet. That's to give you a bit of an idea what we're talking about this afternoon. And so now I'm going to invite the Colford Community Choir to come, and we're going to share a song with you all. So thank you very much to those of you from the choir who came to sing. Thank you for doing that for me. Well, my earliest memories, apart from climbing up things and hanging off things, but we won't go there. My earliest memories are of making up stories, sometimes in my head, or sometimes into one of those. Remember those old flat tape recorders in the 80s? Yeah. So, you know, if I was out on my swing, or if we were going along in the car, because obviously I couldn't look out the windows, or if, anything like that really, you know, anywhere. I would always make up stories. There was always something going through my head, or if I couldn't sleep at night, you know. And I actually think that it was a real gift from God, because you can never be bored if you have an imagination. And from the age of 4, I was sort of traveling an hour each way every day to school in Quedgley. So from Viney Hill to Quedgley back then took even longer than it does now, because I think there's a slightly quicker way now. And so I could never be bored because I always had my imagination. And I presumed everyone else had that imagination as well, you know. So I always remember asking my mum to make up a story, because I had this ball, and I think it was red with blue spots, spotty ball. So I wanted my mum to make up a story about spotty ball, as you do. I mean, how do you make up a story about a ball? Well, she did. As we were going on holiday, she made up this story about spotty ball. And I think it started off and he was in the factory and it escaped, but he wasn't alone. He had his friend with him, Stripey. So there started the spotty and stripy stories. Well, you can imagine what happened throughout that holiday, can't you? We spent the entire time looking for the perfect stripy ball. Spotty had to have his friend. So, yeah, so stories have always been a part of my life, and books, you know, as a child, I always loved books. I didn't like reading them myself because I found reading Braille for me was slower, far slower than listening to a tape or getting a sighted person to read a book. So probably I was just lazy. But as I got older, I started to do more writing in Braille. And then for a time, I used to use mini discs. Anyone remember mini discs? They didn't really take off very well, did they? But they were wonderful. I loved them. And writing really takes over. Well, it does for me. I mean, you know, if I'm writing, I even forget to have a cup of tea. I mean, that's serious. Anyone who knows me knows I drink a lot of tea. So, like I said, I've always had this imagination, and I don't think it ever switches off, because I have the most random of dreams as well. Yeah, we won't go there. But about 20 years ago, I did have a very useful dream. And I dreamt about, it was in Cardiff, and I don't know why it was in Cardiff, because I never even went to Cardiff back then. Furthest I went into Wales was Chepstow about 20 years ago. And, and so this dream, it was set in Cardiff, and there was something really scary happening. It was at night, and there was a man, and he was carrying his 2 daughters, one in his arms and one on his shoulders. And I don't know exactly what was going on, but these girls were afraid. And then this lady ended up opening the door of her house, and they went inside. And I woke up and thought, that'd make a good book. I wonder what that was all about. So I started that book, but it didn't really work. I couldn't really get into it properly. And often when I start a book, I don't know what the ending is going to be when I start it. I just start it and see where it takes me. So back during lockdown, when we all found random things to do, I did a few online courses. And one of them was a novel writing course. I thought, well, I might learn something, you never know. And what it did was it made me write a first chapter of a book. I think I had to do an opening paragraph, and then you know, carry on to do an opening chapter and an outline. Seriously, an outline? I don't know where my books go. They just write themselves. Well, so I wrote this outline. I passed the novel writing course, by the way, somehow, but I don't think it was very well. I wouldn't recommend it, but anyway, I did pass it. So I wrote this outline for this book. I thought, yeah, I really want to write that now, because the characters get in your head and you're just really into that book, and you know, you can just see where it's going and you want to write it, and you just get the urge to write. So I sort of stuck to the outline, but I added in more, as you do. And a created more characters. Some of them just wrote themselves in. They really did. And when I'm writing and creating these characters, I just know them so well. You kind of, even in everyday situations, maybe I shouldn't admit to this, but in everyday situations, you think, oh yeah, they would react like such and such. You know, they might react that way. Yeah, I told you I shouldn't really admit to that. But you just know your characters so well. So obviously I'd already written Book of Smiles. Now I have never thought that I would write a book. My writing was just for me and in more recent years, a few friends, you know, but I would never thought that I would do anything with it. But again, lockdown had something to answer for really, because that's what made me write my Book of Smiles. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, I wrote it around the time of my 40th birthday because I didn't want to be 40. But lots of people had been amused about the funny things. If I do something daft, which I often do, I put it on Facebook to give people a laugh because, you know, why not? Better than making them cry, isn't it? So I'd written Book of Smiles, so I decided to write 40 sections of funny things just to give people a laugh, and I self-published that just after my 40th birthday. But normally, I do fiction writing, and back when I met Alex back in 2009, she really is like a sister to me, and lots of people think we are sisters, so yeah, we might as well be. When I met Alex, she introduced me to Christian fiction books. I didn't know what they were, but I read them and I really enjoyed them. And because they showed me how to sort of apply what I was reading in the Bible and how to apply it to real life. And I don't like books where you get all the details that you really don't need. And you don't find that in Christian fiction books, if you know what I mean. And but sometimes with Christian fiction, it can be too tidy. You know, everything's tied up in nice, neat little bows at the end. Everyone believes, everyone thinks a certain way. Life isn't like that. We don't get all our nice, neat bows tied up, do we? Sometimes, you know, so many times that just doesn't happen. So I thought, if I'm going to write Christian fiction, it's got to be realistic. You know, not everything turns out as we would like it to, because that's life, isn't it? You know, life is all part of God's plan if we choose to follow him. But this book is set in World War II, which is a time that's sort of always interested me. And I remember as a child asking my granddad a lot of questions because he grew up in London and then he was in the army. So I was just fascinated by World War II. And Grandma didn't have quite so many stories. I didn't think she really remembered, apart from they dropped a couple of bombs down Mill End. They were leftovers or something, but they didn't really do any damage. But I found a couple of weeks, it was really funny, I found, sorting out some of my Braille papers, I didn't have much left, I'd kept a few things, the history project I did during World War II. Not during World War II, on World War II. Oh dear. Oh, well, at least I know you're all listening. Yeah, so I'm not that old. I was only 40 the other year. Yeah, anyway, about World War II. During my school days, I think I was, you know, about 13, 14 at the time. And in that project, I'd interviewed my Auntie Frida, who actually lived in occupied Jersey during World War II. And I just couldn't believe it when I found that project the other day. And, you know, about to release this book that's set in World War II and found that project. But the comments were hilarious because it was so typical of me. I was told that I had some excellent original research, but very weak on the outline of the battles. It's people I'm interested in, and not dates and facts. I like people and their lives and how things, you know, how things affect them. So that's what my books are about, really. It's people and their lives. So it's set sort of briefly in Wales and in the forest, but no specific place. So if you think, oh, I wonder if that's by such and such, no, it isn't. It's just in the forest. And the characters are completely fictional, so you're not going to recognize anyone in there. But some of them really caused me problems because some of them needed dialect to bring out their character. And now, apparently, when you're writing properly, you're supposed to use dialect sparingly. Well, it needed dialect to bring out who they were, you know. And we have someone who's quite awfully posh, and, you know, someone who's, because obviously in the forest, you know, people were evacuated into the forest from London and other areas. So I really had to use that dialect to bring out who the characters are, because I just really think it needed it. And those characters who caused me that problem weren't even in the original plan. But in my opinion, in some way, they really make the book. So please don't be put off and think that it's going to be sloppy, because the title, Love Wins. It isn't. It really isn't. I don't do sloppy. It's about relationships between family members and those who are brought into their lives, and their love for one another, and also God's love for them. Because God can heal the deepest hurts, but sometimes we need help to see that, and we need help from other people. And again, if you think that maybe Christian fiction isn't your thing, there are actually many storylines running through the book, and they cover such a wide range of issues that, you know, I don't think you'd be put off. And I've actually asked a friend who's not regularly currently involved in the church to read it, and she's read quite a bit, and she actually agreed that she said herself, I didn't tell her, but she did say that, you know, there are so many, there's obviously a Christian thread running through it, but there are so many other storylines that it's not just, you're not just being preached at. So Gwyneth has been an excellent proofreader. We had some hilarious conversations, because what would happen is Gwyneth would read a few chapters and then come over to my house, and over a cup of coffee, we would go through the corrections. And she found some of my hilarious mistakes where I knew what I meant, but nobody else would have known. And also she coped with my love of the comma. Yeah, I do like commas. But we had one really funny incident when she said, so this bit here, now in a minute, which is it, now or in a minute? I said, well, it's now in a minute. But how can it be now in a minute? Well, okay, just for the fun of it, put your hands up if you've said, or know if anyone has said, I'll be there now in a minute. Yeah, quite a few people, because it's quite popular in the forest, and I think it's quite popular in parts of Wales as well, to say now in a minute. I'm always doing things now in a minute. But I've asked Gwyneth to come up and read the first part of chapter 1 for us. So, whoops, that's just my phone, but we'll worry about that later. It bounced.
Because I'm not very good at that, and I gather there's people from Wales here, and I don't upset anybody. So here we go. Love Wins by Lorraine Beard. Coldness of the room. A minute, sorry. The coldness of the room penetrated Eddie's greatcoat, and the sound of his father's snores filled his ears as he stood looking down at his girls, sleeping curled together in the narrow bed, candlelight illuminating their pale faces. How had it come to this? This was the last place he wanted them to be. Lizzie was no longer here to keep them safe, and he only had 36 hours left of his leave to come up with a plan to get them away from here and to safety. He'd insisted the girls were evacuated once he'd heard Lizzie was dead, but his father, who had never taken any interest in his granddaughters, had gone against his wishes and refused to let them go. Anger burned within him. His father didn't want to take care of his girls. He wanted them to take care of him. No one knew better than Eddie how demanding Gareth Davis was. He'd always protected Lizzie and their daughters from all that, but because of the war, he wasn't able to protect them any longer. Lizzie had known about his father's cruelty, well, some of it anyway. Lovely, sweet, gentle Lizzie, who came from a family so very different from his own. Lizzie had been shocked by his father's behaviour. She'd never been physically strong, and Eddie had done all he could to keep her safe. He'd failed his wife. If he'd been here, she wouldn't have been out in the cold queuing for essential food, so she would never have become so unwell. No doubt the fear of the air raids and spending night after night in a damp shelter were also to blame. It hurt so badly that he wasn't able to save Lizzie, but he still had a chance with his girls. "Ma'am," Lily's voice came weakly from the bed. I want ma'am. A lump formed in Eddie's throat, preventing him from speaking. Barely awake herself, Eliza turned and pulled her younger sister into her arms. Shh, Lily, don't cry. I'm here. Eddie's feet seemed frozen to the spot, but somehow he moved towards his girls. He kept his voice low as he said, Eliza, Lily, it's me. I'm here too. Dad. Instantly recognizing her father's voice, Eliza sprang from the bed. Eddie placed the candle on the chest of drawers and caught her as she flew into his arms. You came home, Eliza cried, clinging to his neck. I prayed you would, and you did. Oh, Dad, you've come to take us away from here. If only it were that simple. His daughter's complete trust in him to do what was needed caused his throat to tighten again. He looked to where Lily seemed to be still sleeping before he managed to say, It's so good to see you, Eliza. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he lifted his eldest daughter onto his lap. Eliza was 12 years old now, and although she wasn't as delicately built as her mother and sister, she was far too thin. She clung to him, as she had when she'd been much younger. I miss Mam, Eliza sniffed. I didn't know what to do, but you came back. Lily isn't well. She's scared of the bombs and of... She stopped and lifted her head slightly, nodding in the direction from where the snores still came. Tell me everything, Eliza. I'll do what I can. Can't we just get our house back? It hasn't been bombed yet. If I could, I would. But listen, I can't stay. I have to go back to the army. Silent sobs shook Eliza's slim body. What will we do? Turning her face up to look directly into her father's eyes, she pleaded, Don't go again. Please, Dad. I don't know what to do. Can't you make us get evacuated? Just don't tell him where we are. Eddie hugged her closer and stroked her dark brown hair. He could try insisting they were evacuated, but there was nothing to stop his father from bringing them back. For some reason, he seemed determined to have them here, but his reasoning was a mystery to Eddie. When Eliza shivered, he looked about the room for another blanket in which to wrap her, but could see none. Of course there wouldn't be. He hadn't had more than a thin covering over him when he was a boy. This small room looked exactly as it had when he'd lived here. Only the essentials and nothing of warmth and comfort. It had been a little more pleasant until his mother died when he was 12, the age Eliza was now. Then he'd been left alone with his father. He'd always been able to run upstairs to the Lewises, though, until Ruthie had told him they couldn't be friends anymore and that he wasn't to go up there. He never understood why. Someone had obviously hurt her. He knew that now, but he hadn't at first. Why hadn't she let him help her? They'd always been there for one another. He even used to think they'd end up marrying one day. However, she'd made it clear she didn't want anything more to do with him, and so that was that. Then he'd met Lizzie. Lizzie was the best thing to have happened to him, and she'd given him Eliza and Lily. He'd loved them all with everything he had. Please, Dad, Eliza spoke in a shaky whisper, don't make us stay here. I don't want you to stay here, you or Lily. I just don't honestly know what to do for the best. He spoke truthfully to her. Eliza had always been a sensible child. You could send us away in secret. She was looking at him intently again as she spoke quickly and quietly. We could change our names and pretend to be someone else so he can't find us and bring us back. Her determination and logical thinking reminded him of Ruthie. Why was he thinking of her again? He hadn't seen her in 12 years, at least not to speak to anyway. He had to focus on his girls. Please, Lord, he prayed silently, show me what to do. Eddie spoke gently to Eliza. If it were that simple, I'd do it. But the authorities aren't going to let me change your names to hide you from him. If there were any of your mum's family left, I'd send you to them. But your uncle is away in the Air Force. I don't have any more family. But I'll come up with something, he tried to reassure her. I'll run away then, Eliza stated. When Lily is better, I'll run away to the country and keep her safe. Eliza, you can't do that. How would I ever know where to find you? Besides, you'd have nowhere to live and no money. There must be somewhere. Desperation filled her voice. There must be some family you've forgotten about. She buried her face in his coat, sobbing uncontrollably. Eddie held her as she cried. She was right. There was someone who he hadn't asked, but could he? Would she even speak to him? What would it do to them all if the truth came out? "What's that noise? Stop it right now," a voice bellowed from the other room. Eddie felt Eliza's arms tighten round him. She was clearly afraid of her grandfather. "Make me some tea, girl," his voice came again. Eliza went to pull away from her father, but he held her a moment longer, whispering, "I'll go. You and Lily stay here." Eliza slid from his lap and scrambled back into bed next to her sister, while Eddie got to his feet. Before going to see his father, he took off his coat and laid it over the girls. That should help a little, he thought, as he picked up the candle and made for the door. "What have I told you about using candles, girl?" Gareth barked as Eddie opened the door into the main room. "They're for my use only." "I lit it, Dad." Eddie took a step towards him, holding it up to illuminate where his father lay on the bed in the corner, the smell of alcohol emanating from him. "Why are you denying my girls the use of a candle?" he added. "Eddie?" Gareth Davis tried to rise to a sitting position, obviously surprised to see his son. "Why were you wanting Eliza to bring you tea at this time of night? The girls should be sleeping." "Rubbish, it won't hurt them. It wouldn't hurt the youngest to do a bit either. She won't last much longer than her man if she doesn't toughen up a bit." Eddie found it hard to keep his anger in check. In 2 strides, he was at his father's bedside. Leaning over him as much as he dared, he almost growled at him. "Don't you ever speak about Lizzie or my girls like that again. They are not your slaves. Now I'll make you that tea, and then you and I need to talk."
Thank you, Gwyneth, for reading that. I knew you would do a brilliant job of it. I wasn't even going to attempt it myself, so thank you. That was brilliant. So I just wanted to say that obviously this book I'm self-publishing. It's what I did with Book of Smiles. I would never have sent my book to a publisher. I just didn't want to go through all that, if I'm honest. And just self-publishing is a wonderful thing that we can actually do it now. And I really would encourage anyone to try it. If you have the urge to write, if you have ideas, then please try it, because it really is worth it, even when the books nearly don't come. But you definitely will need the support of other people to complete it. And I will tell you now that the editing takes far longer than the writing. Yeah, and Alex has been amazing because she's put in so many hours with the editing. You know, she really has been amazing. But so many of you have been encouraging about my writing, and I really do appreciate that. And I thank you. And a couple of people I particularly want to thank you. I want to thank my good friend Nozi, who's watching online in Zimbabwe. And she's just been so encouraging about my writing, and she really encouraged me, one of the people who really encouraged me to write this book and actually get it out there for other people to read. So thank you so much, Nozi. And now I'm going to invite up 3 people, and Sam, could you get what I need, please? But I'm going to invite up 3 people who I couldn't have done this without. So Alex, Gwyneth, and Sandy. So could all 3 of you come up here, please? Tell you that Alex, as I said, she's been amazing, reading everything from the first draft of each chapter. If you can hang on to it, and I'll just have to take them out individually, sorry. Yeah, just hover somewhere. Hover somewhere. So Alex she's read the first draft of each chapter and then helped with all the editing. She did the most of the editing. She's got this program that was just brilliant. Gwyneth, as I said, she's been an excellent and honest proofreader, and I really appreciate that. And she's also helped me with a few formatting things as well, so thank you, Gwyneth. And Sandy, where are you? You're there, right. Thank you for the amazing cover design. When you see the cover of this book, that's all Sandy's work. I had a couple of ideas, and I told Sandy what they were, and she listened to them. And then with God's help, she created something that was far better than I could ever have imagined, but captured what I wanted to get across perfectly. So thank you to each of you. And I just need to sort out this bag. What's whose now? Hang on. Right. Okay, this one, sorry, I'm scared I'm giving you the wrong bags now. It's so terrifying, isn't it? And I taped them up. Right, Alex, this is yours. can get that to Alex.
I'll give Gwyneth now in a minute.
Now in a minute, yeah. Gwyneth, do you want yours now or in a minute? No, basically not.
This is the big pink one.
This is a big pink one. There's another one somewhere. Where's the other bag? Ah, there's the other one. Right. Okay, let's take this one out first. There we go. Sandy, that's yours. No, thank you. And then Gwyneth, this is the big pink one. But she did have it now in a minute. She was having it now, but it took a minute to get there. See, that is the official thing of now in a minute. That really is, yeah, now in a minute. So if Alex can stay, but you two can escape if you like. But thank you so much. And I'm gonna come down. No, I'm gonna come down, I think. Actually, yeah, come up the step, Alex, because we can sing it up here. So I've asked Alex to sing with me. Where are you?
Oh, that way, that's the step. There you go.
There we go. So I asked Alex to sing with me a song that I think captures really well what this book is getting across, and Ruben is going to play for us. And Alex is tangled up. Have you got your microphone on?
Now in a minute.
She'll have her microphone on now in a minute. So yeah, so this song is called By Our Love. See, it's now in a minute. Okay. Brothers, let us come together, walking in the Spirit. There's much to be done. We will come reaching out from our comforts, and they will know us by our love. Sisters, we were made for kindness. We can pierce the darkness as He shines through us. We will come reaching with a song of healing, and they will know us by our love. The time is now. Come, church, arise. Love with His hands, see with His eyes. Find it around you. Let it never leave you. And they will know us by our love. Children, you are hope for justice. Stand firm in the truth now. Set your hearts above. You will be reaching long after we're gone. And they will know you by your love. The time is now. Come, church, arise. Love with His hands, see with His eyes. Find it around you. Let it never leave you. And they will know us by our love. The time is now. Come, church, arise. Love with His hands, see with His eyes. Find it around you. Let it never leave you. And they will know us by our love. So all that's left for me to say now really is please stay for tea and coffee and cake. There's hopefully lots of cake there. And I've asked Alex to bring some of her books with her because she actually self-published a novel at the end of last year. So Alex's book, Just Benny, is over there. And I've also asked our friend Sarah Tummy to bring her CDs and her book, and she also has them on the table over there. And her newest CD only came available last week, so that's brilliant. And also, I do have a books of smiles over there as well. But please don't feel pressured to buy anything. I just love the fact that you're here. And if anyone is watching online and they would like a book, you can, if you're going to see me or you're going to see someone who knows me, then if you want a print copy, get it through me. But they are available on Amazon in the various countries, and they're there as paperbacks and also as Kindle books. So if any of you here would prefer a Kindle book, it is there. It is available on Amazon. But as I said, please don't feel pressured to buy anything. I'm just so pleased that you're all here. So God bless.